I've got 4 suicide attempts, gentlemen, and I'm still here because he said, not yet, there's more I got for you to do, right? And I'm thankful for that now. I wasn't when I woke up from all these things, but I am now, gentlemen. You all have a purpose out there. He's got a calling for each one of your lives, and that is to represent him in the way you live and the kind of light and the kind of love you give out in this world. And I encourage you guys to step into it, because as you step into it, he will bless you so much, and it's the least we can do for a Father who came down from heaven, who brought his Son, who went through that kind of torture and that kind of horrificness because he loves you so much.
This month, Ministries welcomes Mitch Roberts.
So today we have a speaker that this is his second time coming back. I call it Mitch Roberts 2.0. Does that work?
That'll work.
That works. There we go. And we heard Mitch speak a couple years ago. And I was sitting here. We were talking with Butch was here last month, the Vietnam vet, and Mitch was sitting beside me. And God was just saying, ask Mitch, ask Mitch, ask Mitch. So I scribbled on a piece of paper, are you available this March in 3 weeks or 4 weeks? And he goes, yep, I can do it. So God told me to ask Mitch. I asked Mitch. Mitch said yes. So here we are. So how about a nice round of applause for Mitch Roberts?
I'll try to be on time so you can get to that breakfast. But yeah, so I'm Mitch. Thank you everybody for showing up this morning. I know time is valuable. It's the one thing you can't get back, and getting up early on a Saturday morning is not some of the things people want to do. So thank you for showing up to this. I'm going to talk a little bit about my story, what I've been through, a lot of the hard things that I've had to endure or go through, a lot of the bad decisions I've made in life. But ultimately, when you leave here today, really what I am hoping for is you see how God can work in a man's life, how good God is, how no matter where you're at, he can lift you out of it, and how he can provide. And so just when you leave, it's like, if you don't know my name, I just want you to know the Lord Jesus Christ and about him. That's my whole thing about talking to people. So I'll start off pretty simple. I lived over in Hudsonville, Michigan. That's where I grew up. It's just west of Grand Rapids a little way. It's between Grand Rapids and Lakeshore. I grew up in a family that was Christian family. Grew up Baptist family, going to church twice on Sundays, and then Wednesday evenings going to the youth group type thing. And it was good. I had a good life. I have nothing to complain about with that. However, something started off for me pretty difficult when I was young. At 5 years old, I was introduced to pornography, some pretty hardcore pornography by some neighbor kids. And that became a big part of my life. And it started making me look at things different, feel different about a lot of things, and it took me down a different path that I've struggled with pretty much my whole life in a lot of ways. Well, I got involved, you do the sports thing growing up, was a hunter, fisher, did all that stuff. I love the outdoors. You get to junior high, life has some little difficulties in it, but nothing so bad so far, other than being introduced to that stuff and some other things. But when I got to junior high, that's when the bullying started. I know I'm a decently big guy, right? I've heard that a lot. The reason why I got into weightlifting and I got into it, it's not because I wanted to be some big tough looking guy. It's because I was getting bullied and I wanted to get bigger than my bullies, and I wanted to stop being bullied. So how do you stop a bully? You got to get bigger and stronger and put them in their place, right? So that's how I got into working out. So that started I think a trajectory in my mind too as a young kid. When you're getting bullied and you're always trying to figure out who you are, where you fit in, that started depression, that started anxiety, that started a lot of different things in my life. When that bullying started, substance abuse started in my life at that same time, because that's when I got introduced to alcohol and marijuana, and then I started to find some prescription pills that I knew if I took a bunch of, they would do that. And so it started to alter the way I felt. What I didn't like is I didn't like being me. I didn't like feeling like Mitch Roberts. I hated myself. I was ashamed of myself. I didn't like who I was. And these things gave me a freedom, or at least it gave me a moment to get away from it. So those kind of things continued throughout my life. Through high school, the bullying stopped. I started playing football. From working out in the gym and stuff like that, I did all right on the football team, and got into boxing after football for a little bit because I needed an outlet I had a lot of anger in me and a lot of things built up, and it helped with anxiety and depression, and it made you feel kind of like a man, and it made you fit in, and other guys would respect you, right? So I got involved with that stuff. I ended up moving to the other side of the state when I graduated high school, working on a deer and elk breed farm and doing stuff for hunting preserves. There I got introduced to cocaine, which then took everything to a whole new level, right? Before it was just alcohol, it was marijuana. Then the cocaine came into my life, and I was close to the size I am right now when I went there, but in a few months I dropped down to 168 pounds, 158 pounds, because all I was doing was cocaine and not eating and working all day. I saw that my life was going really bad, and I didn't even know who I was anymore because I was just so messed up, so I moved back home. When I moved back home, same thing in life, right? I'm partying, I'm chasing women, I'm fighting, I'm doing all the things that I thought was what men did. I mean, all the other guys my age had, some of you guys might not know this, but there's a big thing called Jersey Shores on TV, right? And it was all these dudes that were all about image, chasing chicks, getting drunk, partying. That was what men were supposed to do at that age, and I'm trying to be kind of like that. You look at things that I did when I was younger, very stupid, right? I'm embarrassed and ashamed, but I gotta say it because it's part of what I've been through. Well, I was still drinking. I was still doing every drug I could get, whether it be ecstasy, whether it be Percocet, whether it be Norcos, whether it be Oxys. I mean, cocaine yet, alcohol. I didn't change anything. I was just now home. So I'm at a party. I'm chasing women. I invite this girl back to my place. We always had the after parties when the bars closed down, come back to my place and keep partying, right? She was just getting out of the Marines, and I knew that she had either a fiance or husband. I was trying to hook up with her. And I invited her back to my place, and when I invited her back to my place, she was there drinking and partying with us. And then her husband or fiance or whatever he was showed up. And he had just gotten out of the Marines too. He was actually still in, but he was on an extended leave of absence until he was out. He sat in the corner with a beer in his hand and never took a sip out of it. And I'm just whooping it up, being obnoxious, being that arrogant, pride-filled guy that I was at that time, just the type of person that would disgust you now. And I see this guy that's my same exact age, because at this time I'm 22, 23 years old, and I'm sitting there and I look at this guy and he won't even drink his beer and he looks like a shell of a man, just hollow in the face, dead, just rough looking. And I ask her, I'm like, what's wrong with your guy? What's wrong with him? And I remember her saying, he just got back from Iraq and he lost 7 of his closest friends. That crushed me. I'm his same age. I'm trying to get with his woman, and he's sitting there after he put his life on the line and lost some of his closest friends. I've never felt smaller. So the next morning I went down. I had enlisted in the Marine Corps. I just walked right in. I was probably every recruiter's dream come true. I walked right in. I says, how soon can you get me there? And he's like, okay, hey, hold on, pump the brakes. There's some things we got to do first. First, we got to see if you're smart enough to make it, right? And I'm like, come on, guys. I heard about you guys, you Marines. I know it don't take much. Let's go. You just got to be able to put up with a lot of crap. So I went down, I took the test, and I can say this because I am a Marine. They call us crane eaters and jarheads and all that stuff. We like to joke about it, but I'll tell you what, when I got into the Marine Corps and the men that I was surrounded with, they are some of the sharpest, toughest, hardest guys I know. So you go through boot camp, and that's a trip. See a lot of things, experience a lot of things. I watch things to get myself ready, like Full Metal Jacket and some other things. Like, how's it gonna be? At 23 years old, I go in there, the drill instructors are like my same age. You know, they gotta give you an extra hard time for that. They call you an old man and all that stuff. But you go through boot camp, you know, and it is what it is. Then you get out to the fleet. And when you get out to the fleet, that's like when you get with your unit. I started off in one unit, did a 6-month workup, supposed to head to Ramadi, Iraq. At the last second, you go through all the hazings there and everything, and there's hazing that goes on, and there's some hard things. They switched me over to 3-5. So I get with 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, and we start to do a workup. When you're in the military, these guys become your closest friends, right? You bleed together, you sweat together, you trust, you put your lives in each other's hands. Hard times, marriage breakups, family deaths, everything that happens in your life, these guys are right there for you. These guys are like, when you're going up and down these mountains and you're carrying a heavy pack and you feel like you're going to die or pass out, they're like, hey, give me your pack. Give me this. Let me haul this for you. Catch your breath. We're all there 100% for each other. Everything you do together. When you're training, you train together. When you're out on Libo, when you get to go out on town and do anything, you're together. Everything you do is with these guys. I mean, they become so close to you. You know how you can tell who they are at night walking out in the middle of nowhere by the way they walk. You know exactly who it is from a distance out. That's how close you get to know them. So you do life with them. So my first deployment, we go to Fallujah, Iraq. And I say you make new best friends in the military because there's several reasons for that. Some of them get out and they came in before you and they get out before you, and then some of them die, right? And then some of them also cross back and go different places and stuff like that. When we got to Fallujah, Iraq, my best friend that I had gone to the School of Infantry with, went to 3-1 with, got transferred to 3-5, he attempted to commit suicide the first week we were there, shot himself in the head. Said his goodbyes on camera to his family and shot himself in the head right when we got there. So then it was like, okay, you're already going into a hostile country that you're going to be hunted at, and your best friend, the guy you've been doing all this stuff with, shoots himself. He didn't die. They shipped him back stateside. We stayed in contact. You go through Fallujah, you see things there. You see the things that happen in that kind of environment. There is deaths. There are people blowing each other up. Your units are getting hit or whatever. You're doing quick react force to it. I'll be honest with you, I didn't see the most combat or nothing like that, but we were on call to a lot of scenes that, you know, these guys, suicide vests, blow themselves up, blow the vehicles up. You see people carrying their dead babies that they bury out in trash, people eating out trash fields. Just a lot of different things, right? Things that at that age, it's just like, wow, it's shock and awe. Before we come home, my buddy was still alive, and it was like, we're looking forward to coming home. All of a sudden we get the call. He finished his suicide. He saved up his sleeping pills, his pain meds, whatever, and he committed suicide and finished it off. Then I was told to write a letter, lie to his family about what happened. They met me at the plane. So here I am lying to his family about his death. They think he got killed by a sniper. It's not true. It's something I've had to carry on to this day. You know, so that's just some of the things that mess with you at 23, 24 years old. Things you're facing. Next deployment, we go to what I call, it's a MU, but we went to Sodom and Gomorrah. You go to Thailand, Philippines, you see all the human trafficking. I'm not going to go into detail there, all the things I've seen, but you can imagine when it comes to human trafficking, the shows and all the different things that go on. And at that age, and at that time, you really don't know what's going on and what you're looking at until I've gotten older and I realized those were children and those were little girls and those were people stolen or taken and forced into this. And so that's bothered me as I've gotten older and I look back at that, what I was witnessing and how some of the guys were even enjoying it. But I met a woman while I was in the military and we were engaged and I was deciding to get out. And when I got out, I was like, okay, I'm going to stay in the Marine Corps, right? I was an infantry machine gunner. I liked my combat deployment, as bad as that is in some ways. It was way better than MU. And I'm like, if my unit is supposed to get deployed again to a combat zone, I will stay in. If they go on another MU, I'm not staying in. They were going to go on another MU. They were scheduled to go on another MU. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to get out. I get out, and no sooner do I get out and I will get off that base and I'm on my way home that I found out their orders changed. Their orders changed to staying in Afghanistan. And I'm like, what is this place? I haven't been to Afghanistan. I hear it's hotter than Iraq. But I'm like, what's going on with saying and how's that supposed to look? And they're like, they're going to be walking into it. They're going to be walking into it. I get home. I get settled in my new house. I just got freshly married. My mind's on those guys. I'm out, so it's like you just make kind of peace with it. And as soon as they get deployed within a couple of days' time, few days' time, I start getting phone calls and text messages. And my phone just starts to ding. Every phone call, every ding was another guy getting hit. There was close to 200 guys wounded. And when I say wounded, it could be from strap metal to they get burned up or they get disfigured so bad you don't even recognize who they are when you see them. 25 died in combat. And I mean, it's just one after another, going to funerals, going to these different things. And these guys are my brothers. So the guilt you feel when you're at home and you're getting those things, and you're sitting there in your warm house, or you're sitting there having a beer or watching TV or doing that stuff, knowing that at that moment one of them might be dying, or they're in the middle of a firefight, or the things like that. Gentlemen, I don't know how to tell you how much that eats a man up. So you're going to those things. So that's when I really started to drink heavy. It's when I really started to drug heavy. And I mean, I drank and I drugged to the point where it's only by God's grace I'm here today. I went to the VA, they give you all this Xanax and all these different things, and I'm ordering them from Canada and other places to get more of them. I'm taking handfuls of Xanax at a time, drinking them down with a fifth, plus killing a case of beer. I mean, I'm doing all these things to just, I don't want to live anymore. My marriage is falling apart. The guys who aren't dying on deployment are now committing suicide as well, the ones that are in back like me. I'm attempting it. I try overdosing. I wake up with a pistol in my hand and all the different things. Which you're more than welcome in and hear about it. I might scare them off with the pistol in my hand thing. But I took everything to a whole new level of drinking and drugging. And I knew everybody around me that was in it, served, that got out, was doing the same thing. And when those guys came back and I walked out there and I saw the guys that did survive come back as they came back from their deployment and they march out, some in crutches, some being pushed in wheelchairs, none of them looked the same. They looked like these men that left that I knew came back, and I didn't even recognize them anymore because they might have had all their limbs, they might not have had all the scars, but their faces all looked different and hollow. And I knew that even though they might be physically alive, something died inside them when they came back. So the guilt from that just continues, right? And now I'm back and I'm living my life. For 4 years after they come back, my life just was in a complete spiral downhill further and further. And the fact of the matter is because guys just kept committing suicide and kept committing suicide. The ones that served, that went over there, were committing suicide. And the ones that didn't go with them out of guilt were committing suicide now. And so I'm struggling with this, drinking, drugging. My wife leaves in 2014. She had enough. During that time, I did a stint in Pine Rest. I tried to do suicide in front of my family with a shotgun that was a single shot. When I closed the breech, the round fell out. And I wasn't able to do it before they took the gun from me, and I ended up in Pine Rest for a week. So I was already on that edge. I was trying to kill myself with overdoses. She leaves, and then that's when things really spiraled for about 1.5 years. I ended up getting a DUI on the way home from a buddy's house. I started my first stint in the VA medical health hospital as an inpatient, where they lock you down, you're in pajamas. It's in an extreme mental health ward, the kind that you'd see on TV or movies, like the crazies, right? I was in the craziest of the crazy section. I lived in there for quite a while. They let me out, get another DUI, another suicide attempt by overdose. And that happened. I got 3 DUIs in 1 year. So at this point, I got 4 DUIs. I had to lose my job. My last time they let me out, before I went back in, I lived in that mental health hospital for 1 year, just over 1 year, right? Living in a mental health hospital for 1 year. Can you guys imagine that? Living in these different realms. While I was in there, they did electric convulsive therapy to me, which is they shock your brain and grand mal seizures. They were supposed to do 13. They only did 6 because it was destroying my brain so bad. While I was there and I got let out, I tried to do suicide by cop on my last DUI. I got stood off with 5 Ottawa County deputies, and I had a 45-minute standoff trying to get them to shoot me. I've got 2 buddies I served with that did suicide by cop, by the way, too. So it's not uncommon. That made me go in for another 8 months into the VA mental health hospital. While I was in there, I was given the book Battlefield of Mind by Joyce Myers. See, at this point, I had tried everything. I've tried drugs, alcohol, I've tried sex, I've tried, listening to all these different counselors. I've tried electric convulsive therapy, for Pete's sakes, right? I've tried everything there was to try, and I've had no progress. I did not want to live. There was no reason to keep going. I'm $100 and some thousand in the hole because I've lost my job, lost my house. I've got I'm still facing all these DUI charges because I haven't been able to go to court for any of them. I've got felony stuff facing. I got jail time I'm facing. I got no license. I'm homeless, $100 some thousand in debt. And then I found out my credit cards had gone into collection, that I didn't know I had a bunch of credit cards with stuff on it, because the wife that I was married to had charged up a bunch of things I didn't know about. So I got collection agencies at me, so you can understand where my credit score, it was like 420. I got nothing. Like, how am I going to get out of this? That person said, read this book, and I'm like, Joyce Myers, that's a lady, right? Yeah. I ain't reading no lady book and what was good for ladies. She looked at me and she goes, but it's about Jesus. It's just from a woman's perspective. She says, just give it a shot, read it. What do you have to lose? Has this other crap worked for you, Mitch? As I'm sitting in a mental ward? No, I guess I hasn't. I'll give it a shot. So I started reading that book. 3/4 of the way through. Mind you, I grew up in church, but I got very far from it. I hated the church because I got to be best friends with a youth pastor at my church who turned out to be gay and had a crush on me. Right? Imagine how much that pushes you away from church. Right? And I see church hurts and church hurts. And when that youth pastor turned out to be gay and they called me in to have a talk with me because of the whole situation, to make sure nothing, like he didn't physically molest me or do anything, that just pushed me away from everything. Then you go into the world and you see how much hate, anger, and bad things are out there. I didn't believe in God. I pushed him away, and if I did believe, I was just angry at him. I read this book, and something clicked in me, and it said, Mitch, with everything you've done, look where it's gotten you. Look where you're at right now, in your strength, in your intelligence, in your attitude, in all your things that you thought you could do and get away with. Look where it's gotten you. You don't even want to be alive right now, and look where you're living. This is where your thinking and your efforts have gotten you. How about you give it to me? Just give it to me. I hit my knees in that place, and I repented, and I said, Lord, I will do whatever you want me to do if you can get me out of this. You know what I'm facing, and it's not good. How do I get out of this? Only you can get me out of it, and if you can get me out of this, I will do whatever you want. Within 48 hours, my debt was erased, pretty much. All that hundreds of thousands of dollars, gone. It was taken care of, if you will. Doors, when it comes to the criminal charges I was facing in the driver's license, started to open. There was hope. Just thing after thing started to fall in place, and I'm like, and I felt something different when I hit my knees in that place. I can't ever tell you before, like I can say I did the little prayers and stuff when I was a kid, what I call the insurance prayer, the fire prayer. When I got on my knees that day, I felt him. I felt him enter me that day. And I ran from him for a while yet after that, because I knew he wanted me to minister. I knew he wanted me to talk to other veterans, first responders. I knew he wanted me to talk about who he is to people. But I'm like, I'm this tattooed, freaky looking dude that when I grew up in churches, the guys had suit and ties and never even got a ticket in their life as far as I know, on a driving record. How can a guy like me talk about Jesus, right? I just had to wait and find out. So I started doing some different things in life. Started trying to flip the houses. I tried to do a lot of different things. And all just the doors kept getting shut. I had some success, but I'd hire homeless guys, speak to them about Jesus, thinking, I'm doing some ministry, right? But I knew in my heart that wasn't my calling. So then I go to Cornerstone because I'm trying to make God happy. I'm like, I'll go to Cornerstone College, Christian college, right? I'll make you happy, be around some Christian things. I'm going to be a counselor so I can help other veterans and first responders walk through what I've walked through. Well, when I go there, because I think I'm going to be this counselor, I had to go and I had to interview and see what some other places at nonprofits and counseling places did. At that time, my mother-in-law said, hey, there's a Steve Prince guy with Warriors Set Free, I believe the name. Maybe you should go interview him and check him out. So I find Steve's number, I give him a call, and he's like, hey, let's go do lunch. Go have lunch with the guy. We have a great conversation. I'm like, I'd love to check out, see what you guys do. He's like, yeah, come on in. You just got to fill out this paperwork. So when I went into Warriors Set Free, and I may have heard this wrong, or it was just my thinking, I was under the impression I was going to watch somebody go through what they call a freedom appointment. It's a one-day thing where you go in and you just deal with a lot of your hurts, wounds, and you work through them and pray through them, and you attack it from a biblical standpoint and from the truth of what the Lord says. I thought I was going to go witness that being done. I did witness it being done. It was done to me. And I'm like, holy crap, what's going on here? Right? I'm in there, and they're like, there's two guys. I'm sitting there, and I'm like, what's going on? They had me fill this paperwork. I didn't fill any of it out because I'm like, nobody needs to know my stuff. I just want to go see what's done. I get in there, and in 5 hours, I got more done in 5 hours to find freedom, healing, and all those things than all the time I spent in that VA hospital with all the counselors, with all the pills, with everything that's been tried up to that point. In 5 hours, I got more done in my life. And I only let about 40% out that I had inside me because I didn't trust these people yet. But that 40% was the most freeing experience I've ever had. And when I got done, I'm bawling because I'm so thankful. And I just go, how do I get involved in this? And that's where it started for me with Warriors Set Free. And that was about 5 or 6 years ago. So I get trained up. I'm doing freedom appointments. I'm walking with other guys. I still got my struggles, right? I'm just as human as every single person here. I still got pains. I still got wounds that are trying to heal. I still have people in my life committing suicide, right? So just to give you a number before I go any further, so 25 guys died in combat. Since I've gotten out close, I don't have an exact number because I don't want to count it up, close to 40 have either committed suicide or overdosed since getting out as well, on top of that 25. In that VA hospital, the friends that I made in there and the guys that I got to know, and there are some really awesome people that have found themselves in there. There are special forces guys, there's every kind of person you can imagine that's been in there, right? It's not just tweakers or burnt out people. There's amazing men who have broke because of the things that they've had to do, that they just can't carry that weight. 12 of them I stayed connected to. I'm the only one still alive. All the rest have died before the age of 42. The battle out there is real. So I go through this freedom appointment, I'm doing these things, and then I get involved, and they said, you got to go to this retreat, this encounter. I'm like, nope, I'm doing freedom appointments, been doing it for 2 years, I'm good. Just go. You'll like it better than hunting camp, and nothing beats hunting camp to me. I ended up going on to that, and I ended up getting a lot more things. It's called the Road Home. The Road Map does it. It's up in Big Rapids. Warriors Set Free does the Warriors Battle now in Georgia and soon to be in Kentucky. And these events, it's just another layer of things to be taken care of. And so I'm doing good, guys. I'm walking with the Lord. I'm walking with other men. My life is looking pretty good. I have another divorce. That hits hard, right? But I'm still holding it together. Occasionally guys are committing suicide here and there, overdosing. I get vulnerable, I have a moment. I came here and spoke in between this time. I was actually standing in front of you guys a few years ago and I was doing really well. What happens? What happens when you get and you let your guard down? What happens when you think you're so good and you're walking so strong nothing can get to you?
The devil will slap you.
Exactly. And if he can't get you, he's going to get the ones around you. I go through a divorce, and then I find out 2 guys that I love dearly are gone. And I broke. I went back to a 5th, pounded a 5th, got on my dirt bike with no gear on, and I rode it till I crashed it and woke up in a hospital with a deputy standing next to me that I shouldn't have survived through. My brother Robert says he saw one of the first responders that were there and said that the guy didn't think I was going to make it. I didn't want to live. Again, I wanted it to be done. I just wanted to go to the Lord and be done with all this. I carry a lot of pain. But I woke up in that hospital and the first words on my head is, Lord, forgive me for this, but I was like, shit. I'm still alive. And that's a hard feeling to have to live with when you're like, I'm still alive. And I got a deputy standing there, another Ottawa County deputy. Lord bless you, Ottawa County deputies. You've had to deal with me a lot. He's just looking at me. He never says a word to me. He just has a sad look on his face and was just like, and didn't say anything. And when he realized that when I woke up, I wasn't going to be hostile, he just walked out of the room. And I never saw that guy again. Facing my 5th DUI. This is a year and a half ago. I'm facing 5 to 10 years in prison. I'm facing never having a driver's license again the rest of my life. I have done all this stuff in ministry, serving, and done all these things for these men, and I've now got to tell everybody what just happened. I have 2 options right now. Well, 3, really. I got one option, which is to finish what I started and kill myself and just end it all when I get home with my gun. Right? Second option is to run from everything that I've been doing and go hide. And I know the devil's going to get me there, and I know it's going to end up being drinking and drugging again. That's my second option. My third option is to just humbly hit my knees, repent again, and tell everybody what I did and why I did it and how I did it and how I got to this place. The hardest one is to repent. The hardest one is to hit your knees. The hardest one is to stand in front of men like you and say, this is what I did. This is how I screwed up again after God had given me so much. After he's taken care of me so well. This is what I did with it. I threw it all away again in a moment. This is how I screwed up, guys. I don't care how strong you think you are. I don't care where you think you are. I don't care if you've been doing ministry with men for 10, 20 years. It only takes 1 second, one choice to throw it all away again. However, let me tell you this. When you submit it to God and you give it to him, he will lift you back up. Amen. I went, it was probably just a couple weeks later, and I served on the event. I had a tether on my leg and an alcohol monitor, this big old thing on my leg that vibrates like every 10 minutes when it's testing you. I'm serving an event with shorts on, wearing that. Guess what ended up being at an event? A guy coming through as a participant who had one of those on too that was trying to hide it and was so ashamed. When he seen mine and I talked to him, he started bawling and he says, that gives me the freedom now. I know I'm accepted here. What was supposed to be an embarrassment to me, what was supposed to be something that would stop me from doing what I'm doing, allowed another guy to open up and receive Christ that week. When you give it away and don't let the devil hold it against you as guilt, as shame, as all these different things that he wants you to be all like, I can't tell anybody about this. I can't let him know I've been through this. I can't let him know the bad decisions I made. When you give it to God and you give him glory and know and believe that he will pull you through it, he will pull you through it and he will use it for good. Because your story is going to empower somebody else. Your story is going to give somebody else hope. When those things happened, I kept serving. They allowed me. The place we call it no stones, which means no judgment, right? When the woman was caught in adultery, they brought her forward to get stoned. The Lord said, those of you without sin, cast the first stone. And not a single person cast a stone, right? No judgment, because we all carry something. And when I went back to Warrior Set Free and when I went back to the road, nobody judged me. Nobody said, no, you can't do this. Everybody said, use it. If you're strong enough and brave enough, use it. Let them know. And so I'm telling you, I'm human. I struggle. I'm still healing. I got many, many scars on my body that are still healing. In my heart, in my soul, and everything else. But I'm not done fighting. I'm not done fighting. And that's why, there's men in here I know that got things that they're carrying, things that keep beating them up, habitual sins that keep coming back. You can use those for good. And the more you use them for good, the less power they're going to have over you. I am now engaged. I was telling this testimony, and this is how he doesn't stop. I was telling this testimony about a month or two ago, and my fiance sitting there, and I thought I had told her everything. Right? I got a lot to my story, and I didn't even hit everything out with you guys. I'm trying to keep it short so I can get some other things. I've been through a lot and endured quite a bit of stuff. And I was telling my testimony there, and I can see the look on her face. I can see she's being crushed. And I didn't get it. I thought I told her everything. When I get done, she gets up and just leaves. And honey, if you listen to this, I love you. But she does. She just leaves. And that inside, that was like a knife to my heart. I just bared my soul. I just put it all out there. And these things are not easy for me to get up and share because I got to relive these things. I see the faces again in my head. I remember the hard times. And she gets up and leaves. So I'm keeping it together, talking with the guys after, doing all these things. But in my head, I'm like, why'd she leave? I am pissed at her. The old Mitch in me, when I got home or when I was going to talk to her, I was going to tell her to get the H out of my life and to not come back. If you can't handle that, then you can't handle me and you're not committed. But as I was leaving, I got in my truck. because of my walk with the Lord and the things that I've seen happen in my life, and I've walked with enough other men that I see other people hurting and how they handle things, the Lord said to me, he goes, Mitch, how is she hurting that you don't know about? She didn't get up and leave because she doesn't love you. She got up and leave because there's a hurt, there's a pain, something happened. Something got pricked. So my whole drive home, I said, Lord, give me the patience, give me the understanding, give me the open heart and the open mind to receive whatever it is that she's going through and to not hold it against her, because she's got her scars too. She's got her pains too. What was the devil trying to do when I gave my testimony when she got up and left? He was trying to set me off against her, saying, nope, there's another person abandoning me. There's another person that don't get me or judging me. There's another person that don't get it. And what was the devil doing to her when she heard it? He's attacking us both differently in different ways, but he just wants to drive us apart. I get home and she happens to be at my house. She didn't drive home. She went to my house. She unloaded on me the things that she heard and what had bothered her. And then I understood. Parts of my testimony, some of the things that I shared, hit her because it happened to her too. Right? There's some things I didn't share here today that I shared then that hit her, and hit her hard. And she didn't know how to handle it. And she's been through a lot in her life as well, lots of scars. So she was reacting in her old way. But she did go to my house and wait for me, which was the one thing she would have never done before. And when I got there and she unloaded, I just said, I'm sorry that you feel that way. I'm sorry you heard it that way. I grabbed a hold of her. I said, is it okay if I pray over us right now? The second I got done praying, it was like none of that all happened. She saw and heard me for who I am. I saw and heard her for who she is. And there was a healing and a thing that happened within it. Gentlemen, I was supposed to go to prison 5 to 10 years a year and a half ago. Let me tell you, I went to jail, but I went for 24 days. I stood in front of the hardest judge there is in Michigan that sends everybody to prison. I had a platoon of men, if not a company of men behind me, representing me in front of that judge. Some in uniform, some not. I had everything from firefighters, police officers, to veterans, to active duty members, all standing behind me to represent me that I would have never had before. The guy before me got sentenced to a crap ton of days and he was never even supposed to go to jail. And I'm like, oh boy, here I go. I'm like, I hope you guys send me soap on a rope or whatever I'm gonna need in there. Like, I'm going away for a grip. Like, that's what I thought when I stood in front of her. But I was praying and I had faith and I did believe it. And I said to the Lord, I says, kind of like when Jesus, and I'm not comparing myself to Jesus, but when he was in the garden, he said, Lord, take this cup from me, but not my will, but yours be done, right? He knew that God could take him from that moment, but he wanted God to do his will, and he was okay with it. And I had that same prayer. I said, Lord, you know I don't want to go to prison. But Lord, I do believe that if you send me there, there is going to be good things that come from it, because every bad thing that I've ever had in my life, you've made good things come from it. Things that I can't even explain that I'm doing, that I don't deserve, and that I could never imagined in my life. She sentenced the other guy for a long time. And I'm like, oh boy. I get up and I stand up in front of her. She sentenced me to 30 days. I spent 24. I've had guys that when I was in there come to Christ while I was in there. I've had guys that come out there and do the freedom appointments we do. It gave me a whole bunch of time to connect with a whole bunch of guys and speak Jesus to a whole bunch of men that were stuck in a cell that had to hear about it from me. And it was amazing. It was an amazing time with the Father. Now, I still don't have a license, right? Lord, I might not ever have a license. I'm going to have everybody picking me up, bringing me everywhere. Lord, you know I don't want that. But however, I know you're going to make great things come from this. The amount of what I call windshield time that I've gotten with different men and the great conversations that I've had with them during that time was amazing. I got to speak into some guys that didn't even know about Christ when I rode with them. I got to ride with other brothers that we got to have deep conversations. And then I go to get my license back and go to a hearing. 2 lawyers told me it's impossible. Never get it. I had one lawyer who was just crazy enough to take me on as a client. We bring it to court. My situation, because of what I lost, this is 5 DUIs. All super drunks, all the worst you can get. The only good thing is I never hit anybody or anything like that. We go to court. The Attorney General fights me on it. The Attorney General shows up to fight me on this. Took 2 judges, but I got my license back, and I drove here today. And I'm able to do ministry freely now with everybody. I had to go to court. Guess what? I'm still on probation. But it's provided me an opportunity to speak into so many men. See, what the devil uses to try to destroy you, gentlemen, when you give it to God, it can be used for some of the greatest things you could ever imagine. You can reach people that you never thought you could reach. And I just want to say one thing to you, too, before I go. I don't know how much time I got. I got just a couple minutes. Is God loves you. God loves you so much. He just wants you to love him back and have a relationship with him. He gave us 2 things to do, the 2 greatest commandments. It's to love your Lord, your Savior with all your heart, mind, and soul and strength, right? And he gave us one other one. And this one every one of us can do it. Doesn't matter if you're behind a pulpit, doesn't matter if you're standing up here, doesn't matter if you work with Warrior Set Free of the Road, it doesn't matter, none of this matters. You can do it anywhere, and that's to love your neighbor as you love yourself. Gentlemen, the best way we represent Christ is the way we love other people. That's everywhere you go, how you treat others. I love tattoos, and I want to get this tattooed on my hands. It's about washing feet. The last thing the Lord did to his disciples before he went to the cross, he did miracle after miracle after miracle. He did great teaching after great teaching after great teaching. The last thing that he got across to his disciples that he wanted in their brain before he went and endured all that for us was he washed their feet. He washed their feet. Every one of you is capable of washing another man's feet. And how do you wash feet? How do you love them? How do you love them right where they're at? How do you humble yourself to sit there and not be up here talking down to them, but come down to them and speak to them and care about them and look them in the eyes and let them know that they are seen and they are heard and that they are loved? Where do you see somebody that has a need that you can help them out in? That is how you wash feet, man, and that's what we are called to do. The reason why I'm standing up here talking to you is because the Lord has done so much for me that I just want to do it for others now. He has commanded me to. He's commanded each one of us to do it. And if you don't know how to do that, how can you help out the guy next to you? How can you help out the neighbor guy that you know? And so that's what I want to give to you guys. When I leave, like I said, I don't want you to remember my story of the things I went through. I want you to see what God can do with a broken man. I want you to see what God can do in your life and how much he loves us. He should have gave up on me. I've got 4 suicide attempts, gentlemen, and I'm still here because he said, not yet. There's more I got for you to do, right? And I'm thankful for that now. I wasn't when I woke up from all these things, but I am now, gentlemen. You all have a purpose out there. He's got a calling for each one of your lives, and that is to represent him in the way you live and the kind of light and the kind of love you give out in this world. And I encourage you guys to step into it, because as you step into it, he will bless you so much. And it's the least we can do for a father who came down from heaven, who brought his son, who went through that kind of torture and that kind of horrificness because he loves you so much. So gentlemen, like I said, don't remember my name. Remember Jesus's when I'm done with this today. And seek him. And if anybody has questions about salvation like this, I got to throw it out. Come talk to me. Come talk to Robert. Come talk to Marty. These guys are with Warrior Set Free. If you have any questions about it, get with these 2 guys in the green. They'll help you out with Warrior Set Free. But if you have any questions about salvation and you're worried about it, come talk to one of us. I don't want anybody to ever be in question where they're going, because eternity is real and eternity matters.